So today we're going to be taking a look at Once Human, the game that answers the question. If you took the atmosphere of the secret world and Control, then slapped it on top with a little bit of survival crafty buildiness, and then sprinkled it with a little bit of zombie apocalyptic scavenging and looting. Take all that and you might have a game that looks a little bit like Once Human.
But everything is born from darkness. Even the universe itself.
So when you start the game, you have the choice between two server type choices, PvE and PvP basically. I go ahead and choose a mid server, population mid that is, currently on season schedule day 1. So character creation has a ton of different variants you love to see, and this may be a surprise to some of you. As your resident Afro-American, I can confirm that the black skin tones in this game are actually pretty well done. I do a couple of tweaks to my Nubian waifu and I'm in. So like I mentioned earlier in the video, the overall atmosphere of the game really reminds me of Control, which is one of my favorite games of all time. You want to talk about a game that gave me like maximum immersion. Hey, wait a minute, girl, where you pull that key card from? And where are you putting it back? So yeah, if you play Control, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. You have all these strange creatures walking around called deviants. The research lab is all floating around. There's strange portals. And low-key at this point, I can't lie, I'm kind of sad that this is not like a set narrative single player game. But hey, you never know. Let's see how long they can keep up this supernatural secret world vibe throughout all the other survival crafty building elements. And even here in the starter area, you have options to go off the beaten path and find loot. You love that. And after recently playing Terrace Line and knowing that Once Human is also a free-to-play game, I was a little worried on visual progression, but thank baby Jesus, your armor and your weapons do show up on your character, so there is some visual progression there.
It's thanks to her that I was able to take refuge in this place after Starfall.
So now that we're outside in the real world, it's survival game 101, right? Chop down trees, mine ore, collect dirty water, and in this game, your pickaxe actually does double duty. It picks ore and axes trees. And after you have enough resources, you can build your very first camp. Well, I built my very first crossbow with a bunch of arrows, which do require a short timer, for now at least. And just in time for combat, I'm armed with my crossbow as I face off against this insane creature with like a Ubisoft radio tower for a head, and dude, I gotta say, the enemy aesthetic is absolutely doing it for me. Like right there, dude. I love the fact that that's his head. That's his head right there.
This siren, so strong.
And then the game prompts me to use this butterfly that I have in my backpack like a bootleg Death Stranding. And the way they've been hyping up this butterfly, dude, I'm thinking I'm about to see the most insane ultimate you ever done seen. But nah, dude, the butterflies just flutter a bit around the top of it. you show them, Flutterby! And speaking of Pokemon, after I defeat the creature, I attempt to capture one, it fails. And then the door attempts to capture me like a Pokemon, and it succeeds. Oh wait, are we playing Battle Royale now too? We Battle Royale? And just like in most survival games, there's a talent tree that over time will unlock higher end specialties, unique recipes, but just for now, I select all the basics. I first create a furnace to turn wood into charcoal, and at first that didn't sound right to me, but I did confirm with Google, that's absolutely correct. I then use a charcoal to craft copper ingots. All the while, everything I'm doing is giving me character EXP and battle pass EXP, because of course it does. And what is quickly becoming a basic feature, the game also has a flight mode for easy building. And the way that I like to play these survival crafted games, I don't like to leave my base until I've exhausted everything I can build in that moment. So I spent some time collecting, building, making the best supplies I could, including a stove to boil the dirty water and to cook myself the iconic depression meal, some frozen banquet steaks. And of course, the most iconic upgrade in most of these survival crafty building games, the copper pickaxe, baby. I'm ready. And if you're feeling lost, the game does offer a journey quest guide to kind of like loosely guide you around the world and give you rewards. But as far as my main story quest, I'm going to be heading down to the Monolith Ruins to uncover some supplies. And along the way, you have a slew of abandoned houses and buildings with all these zombie-like deviants inside. So for me, this game is already scratching the itch that I normally only get from like zombie apocalyptic games, right? That whole scavenging and looting, going through every cupboard, refrigerator, trash can, that type of vibe. And that's not a vibe that you get too often in survival games. It's quite different, and I dig it here. Because although in real life, I am not a hoarder, I promise, I'm not a hoarder in real life, but in these types of games, dude, I'm trying to loot every single thing that's not nailed down. Especially here in Once Human, because everything that you loot in this game, all the scrap, all the junk can actually be disassembled into something useful. So yeah, dude, go ahead and loot that 40-second stapler and the 20-second football. They're all useful. And all that looting is made that much sweeter because you can load up all your bags with every coat hanger, stapler, and football that you can find, fast travel back to your base, disassemble everything, and then fast travel right back out to the field. Managing your storage and inventory in games like this can quickly become a tedious chore. So thankfully, in addition to the fast travel back and forth, the disassembling, you also have the quality of life that is quickly becoming a basic feature, crafting from your storage. So crafting does require some energy. I only have 90 left, but I can replenish this energy by just doing dungeons, commissions, exploring, things of that nature. And the more I played, at least early on, this quickly became a non-issue. But even if you're completely out of energy, you can still craft basic things like ammo, bandages, pickaxes, things like that do not require energy to craft. So I'm all loaded up and upgraded, but instead of going back to the main story, I want to tackle some side quests around the world as well. So first you have blue quests, which are going to be your tried and true side quests, right? Talk to an NPC. That NPC will probably send you someplace to kill enemies or find something. Very straightforward. You also have these purple area quests. Now these give you a few objectives, which is basically find the mystic chest, find a weapon chest, kill some enemies, things like that. And after you complete those purple area quests, get this, dude, they put complete on your map. They put complete on your map. Dude, just something about having that green complete text does something to my monkey gamer brain. Dude, this is a completionist dream. And navigating throughout this world is actually quite pleasant. You can unlock fast travel points, and you also have this glider that I completely forgot about. Once you hit level 5, and every 5 levels after that, you're gonna unlock specialization. The very first specialization that I select is called Smelter. This basically gives you a 30% increase in yield on all your disassembled items. Yes. And this game sidesteps that early Fallout 76 issue of having no NPCs. You have this camp that's filled with NPCs selling things, giving quests. You also see some real life players walking around, you know, just doing their business. And even though NPCs at their core, right, they're static, they're gonna stay here for the rest of their lives in this one little spot, I do still think they're really important in these games to keep players invested in the overall world. And early on, completely unexpected, navigating through this world gets even that much easier because you get a free motorcycle. Now do keep in mind that this motorcycle does require fuel. How much of an issue that's going to be long term, I'm not sure, because a lot of the apologems that were in my mailbox when I logged on were actually fuel canisters. So I have an abundance of fuel right now, so I'm not really sure how the fuel economy plays out long term. So I'm far away from home, and the game recommends that I set up a temporary camp before I attempt to fight this boss, just in case I die. Come on, dude. Which subjectively for me, what an absolute eyesore, right? Like right next to this boss, the entire landscape is just filled with these camps. Luckily, over time, they do disappear to not clutter the world. My next purple area quest has me completing objectives around the Rotten Manor, got that green complete, and now it's time for my very first boss fight. Not too hard of a boss, very straightforward. Just hide behind cover and pop some shots when you have the opportunity. After clearing out the Rotten Manor, I do the same for Citrus County, green completan. Now I have to keep reminding myself, these are not zombies, FG, they're deviants. You don't always have to aim for the head. Like this guy, for example, I had to bust out his kneecaps to do some real damage. So after a few hours, the gameplay loop feels really solid. I love exploring these unique locations like this flooded restaurant and airport, scavenging the entire place and feeling absolutely rewarded for my time because literally everything I pick up has a use. So from here, you can continue with the main story, do side quests, get more of those green completion, or go back to your base, build more structures, craft new gear, weapons. It's kind of wide open. And going back to the PTSD I have for free-to-play games a little bit earlier, right? When I was all surprised that visual progression was a thing. I was also very surprised that I never really had to worry about my personal backspace. Dude, let me tell you, I was looting things non-stop for hours with reckless abandon, and never did I become over encumbered, never did I feel like I was forced to go back to my home base to unload. I went back when I was ready. Now, I'm not sure how long you're gonna be able to play this game and not worry about your carrying capacity, but at least early on, what a testament to goodwill here. These are the type of things that make me want to open my wallet instead of being forced to, if that makes sense. So at this point, I unlocked my very first 4-player dungeon boss with auto matchmaking. Now, the auto matchmaking took a couple of minutes, but you'll be glad you waited. Like, tackling these bosses with 4 people is the way to go. And again, like the boss that I fought previously, very straightforward, right? Hide behind things when they're shooting at you. If it spawns things, kill those first. And if you're like me and the boss drops their Gatling gun, make a beeline towards it before anyone else can and open up fire. Hey, and I finally got me a Pokemon! Just focus on the damage, don't focus on how many items I use, you know what I'm saying? So with that done, I think it's a great time to go back to my base, expand it a little. I made myself a garage for my new motorcycle. I'm starting to put up walls, no roof. And now I'm ready to go back out to the world and do some more. All right, so what's my next quest?